I'm Princess Diana, and welcome to Book Stuff. So, I guess this might be your first time seeing me. Well, like I said, my name is Princess Diana. I am a single mom, an author of fictional books, as well as an entrepreneur and one of the executive producers of the Ask Dr. Joanne show. Today, I wanted to talk with you about overcoming writer's block. Now, for you that might not know what writer's block is, specifically, writer's block is when you lose that creative flow or you get stuck. So, one, let me just ease your mind. If you're watching this video because you suffer from writer's block or you have a project that you're currently working on and for whatever reason you just can't seem to get it right, we're going to talk about a few tips today that'll help you with that. Okay. So, like I said, writer's block is when you get stuck. The technical definition of writer's block is a condition that is primarily associated to writing, in which an author is unable to produce new work or experiencing like a creative slowdown. I want you to know that it is very common. Happens to the best of us. Now, some of the ways that we can kind of overcome writer's block. Well, let me take a moment to tell you about me. I recently was working on a project with various other authors, and this was the first time that I'd done a project like that or in that magnitude. And so I found myself wanting the project to be just so perfect. I wanted to engage my reader. I wanted to tell something that no one had ever heard before. And I'll be honest, I'm a fictional author, so most of my stuff is just made up. But this particular piece or project that I was working on required me to actually share some details about me personally. And so it actually made the project just a little bit more difficult. Well, what I remembered doing was I had a professor years ago back in college, and it was for a creative writing class. And I wasn't even expecting this particular professor to talk about things like writer's block, but he did. And I wanted to just share with you some of the tips that worked best for me. So, one of the things that cause writer's block is when you're trying to be perfect. And like I said, this project that I recently worked on, it's actually releasing in April of 2021. And because it was a little bit outside of my wheelhouse and it required me to be just a little bit more personal and authentic in the writing, as far as with sharing more details about me versus just creating a character, that was where I really struggled. And so the first tip that I have to share with you is one, stop trying to be perfect. I get it. Everybody wants to put their best foot forward. Everyone wants to do the best job that they can do. But you have to understand that sometimes the good stuff is in the messy. Now, I know you're like, well, wait a minute. Are you talking about misspelled words and things of that nature? And absolutely not. That's not what I mean at all. And I actually have an editor that, reviews over all of my stuff to make sure that, grammatically and punctuations are, spot on. But when I say the good stuff is in the messy, I actually mean the good stuff is in the messy. Sometimes you think you want to tell a story. Like for me, I wanted to tell a story that shared, an experience of mine. However, the experience that I was trying to share was the cleaned up version, the not so perfect version, or no, wait, it was the perfect version. And what I found was that it was really about the not so perfect version that captured the reader. And so I was really pleased with my end result because in me stopping to try to make it perfect, I found this sweet spot and the creative juices actually began to just flow. I was able to actually produce an article for this project that was actually very surprising even to me. I didn't know that that's what I was going to share. And it ended up being really, really pleasing. So the first step, like I said, is the messy is where the good stuff is. Come on now. You don't have to make it perfect. Just tell your story. The second step that I have for you is remember your 5 senses. Now, this professor, like I said, he shared with us that tip of remembering your 5 senses. And I thought, remembering my 5 senses, what does that have to do with anything? Well, if you think about it, when you're reading, you actually engage your reader a little bit more when you consider what things sound like, what things feel like, what it looks like, what it tastes like, what it smells like. Here's an example. Let's say you're writing about an alley. And so you say the alley. Well, you could do something as simple as describing whether the alley was dark or whether it was bright outside or what the weather was. Was it rainy? Was it cold? Some other details that you could do about the alley is, for example, as you walk down the alley, your feet felt. Now, I don't know if you've ever considered it, but consider what it feels like to wear shoes that are wet or that maybe you've accidentally stepped in a puddle. And you know that squishy feeling that you get? You can actually express that in your writing by just sharing some of those 5 senses. So that's our second step or second tip is to consider your 5 senses. And remember, those 5 senses are going to be touch, sound, sight, taste, and feel. And then our last step, and hold up, because for all you procrastinators, I know the last step that I give is always the step that I have people say, well, I was only following your instructions. So this last step is to go take a walk. Now, going to take a walk, I don't mean like be gone from your project or your writing assignment, for hours at a time. What I mean is just take a 20 to 15 or 15 to 20 minute break. And see, even in that, I just made my own mistake. But take a 15 and 20 minute, stroll, go outside, experience the world around you. Or if you don't want to go outside, or maybe you're not in a position or have a place where you can safely walk and feel comfortable, then try calling a friend. A 5 to 10 minute conversation with someone who makes you laugh or gives you an opportunity to smile. What it does is it allows you to be calm. It allows you to be outside of that creative space where you're trying to come up with something, and you just get to calm your mind down. And when you come back to that peace, it allows you to be able to articulate your thoughts just a little bit better. So those were my 3 tips for how to overcome writer's block. I want to thank you for spending this time with me on Book Stuff. Now, also, before I forget, I want to make sure you guys don't forget to subscribe. So click that subscribe button. And until next time, this is Princess Deanna with Book Stuff.